That's how we been, Gateway.
I couldn't come in elementary school. You were one of those that already had hair in your armpit in 4th grade, aren't you?
Shit, no. My brother had hair in his armpit before I did.
I didn't. I'm surprised I have a beard.
You got a better beard than I do. And I'm 10 years older than you.
I know.
You're like a Scottish, like...
I know.
You don't know shit. Stop saying you know.
Like you work in the coal mines. You just came here from
Scotland. Yeah, I look like
Scotland gold mines. I don't
no, like here, but he's from he had no education.
I don't think there's ever been a Scottish person to work in a coal mine.
Oh, Sam be the first.
The first
Is
Scottish
he a
coal miner.
or is he from Scotland?
Isn't that the same thing?
Well, Mel Gibson has been in West Virginia.
I'm an autistic
masturbator.
Fantastic.
Autistic masturbator. Guys, we're recording now, just to let y'all know.
Oh, so I had that weak ass Mel Gibson West Virginia reference.
You gotta come strong, man.
Yeah.
What are we recording?
Huh?
What are we recording?
The podcast.
Oh,
The 4th episode of the Spontaneous Humor Combustion podcast with Jonathan Craig, Guy Frizzell, and our special guest tonight, Brandon Ijames.
Hey.
What up?
And
you say A. He said like
hey.
Yeah, A is the Fonz. I'm not the Fonz.
Why are y'all looking at me and talking? I didn't say anything.
I was trying to think of the guy's name, and I couldn't think of it, but I'm glad you...
Henry Winkler?
The Fonz.
Wait, he did stuff before The Waterboy?
Have y'all heard like Louis C.K. talk about him like on The View or something?
No.
Like there's a thing on YouTube of him like on I think it's Opie and Anthony, and when Lucky Louie came out, like he was promoting it and shit, and he had to go on The View. He went on The View, and Henry Winkler was on it too. And he said that like when he was in his dressing room, he came in to talk to Louis. And he was like, "Oh, I just love your show. It's so dear. It's so dear." He's like, "This isn't the Fonz. Like, Fonzie doesn't do that shit." Like,
so dear.
Yeah, he was just like, he's like, "This isn't Fonzie, all little short guy, all so dear."
What does that mean? One time, me and Selena were driving on the road, and there was a bunch of heads of lettuce on the interstate, and I go, "Oh shit!" And Selena's like, "Oh dear," and like I swerve it, and then we're driving, and I was like, "Did I just say oh dear?" And she's like, "No, that was me." I was like, "Oh, okay."
I get
that makes more sense.
I get your voice confused for a woman all the time.
Oh, I don't. It was so different.
Oh,
Hey, we're outside, you guys. So if you hear the rain, it's because we're just under a tornado warning not too long ago,
and we don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
we're totally spontaneous with our humor.
Actually, we're in Louisville at the Kentucky Derby, and there are stables full of Russian racehorses.
Oh, that's a P reference. I like it.
I didn't get it.
Body functions are funny.
Yep.
Just like that one. Yep. Gas, liquid.
So
any state of matter from the body.
I guess let's talk about. Well, Brandon, let me ask you first. Like, how did you get into comedy, and who are your biggest influences, and why? I don't know. Just
same shit you always ask.
Same shit I always ask.
Same typical openers.
Yeah.
Well, I got into comedy for a number of reasons. I've always been known as, like, since elementary school, as the smart one and the funny one.
But you were known as both of them?
Yeah, the smart guy and the funny guy. But I remember, I went to UAH. I was going for a degree in electrical engineering. I got an internship with GE, and my boss there just thought I was hysterical. And he said if engineering doesn't work out for me, I should try stand-up.
Yeah.
And what I read between the lines was I suck at engineering and I should quit while I'm ahead. But, years passed. I stuck it out just because I've invested so much time in it. And... yeah, never gave comedy much other thought, as far as performing.
Yeah.
Until I went on a trip to Los Angeles and Las Vegas. But I went to the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, Long Beach. And saw some headliners there, a lot of
Yeah.
featured performers. Alonzo Bodden was headlining.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a lot of fun, and I was thinking, man, I love this. If Huntsville could have something like that,
Yeah.
it would be swell. So, I kind of got into, looking for open mics going on around town. And, basically I wanted to do that to try to size up the Huntsville comedy scene to see if
Yeah.
it could support something like a comedy club.
Yeah.
Maybe I can, start socking away money from my engineering job to, maybe one of these days, find a good property in Huntsville, open one up.
Yeah.
So, I started out, like I said, sizing up the comedy scene by going into open mics, and
Yeah.
that's been a lot of fun, and I've been keeping up with that.
What time frame is that? How long ago?
That I went to Los Angeles in September of 2011, and when I got back, that's when I started brainstorming. The wheels started turning in my head about, is there anything like that going on in Huntsville? So I saw Justin Letlow. I had no idea about the Epic Comedy Hour until I started digging around on the internet about that.
Yeah.
I saw that it had been taking place for about half a year, and I went to the one in January, and I started messaging Justin Letlow on Facebook to see if he knows anything about open mics. And about that time, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got one that's going to start up at in Providence," and you guys mentioned that last week, or he did. Yeah, I got excited about that, then it fell through.
So where's your first open mic? Was that at Rugby's?
It was at I went to Rugby's,
Yes,
but I didn't
sir.
perform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
I was like, hey, there's somebody here. I think I even asked you if you were gonna go up at one point. And you're like, oh, I'm just observing.
Yeah, I guess I was. I didn't have the nerve quite yet at that point, and I had some stuff that I thought about trying to perform,
Yeah.
but I was basically just sizing up the crowd and
Yeah.
just to see if I think I could be
what-
comfortable doing it,
Yeah.
and eventually, the Rugby's was the first one that I observed, but the first one I attempted was at Night Moves in Hazel Green.
Okay. Was that the one you did?
Yeah,
You ran?
yeah, I hosted that one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's short-lived, but I mean, actually, we did more shows at Night Moves than we did at Rugby's. Because
Uh-huh.
Rugby's was just once a month. We did Night Moves twice a month.
Yeah,
It sucked because when I first did Rugby's, I thought there was going to be another Night Moves. And I used to live in Hazel Green. And I had so much Hazel Green material I was going to do, like just all about Hazel Green. I was like, I'm going to kill in Hazel Green, but we never got to do Night Moves.
you won't kill in Hazel Green at Night Moves if there's a NASCAR race on.
There's so much material that you could talk to the crowd about Hazel Green, and of course it's pandering, but they would die. Like
Yeah.
you would. I mean, it's so easy to make fun of that place.
Oh yeah, playing to the crowd is a great skill.
Yeah.
One of the open mics we did was on, I guess the Daytona 500 got postponed or rained out or something, so they made it up on a Monday, which is the night we had our open mic there. And so it was like nighttime, they were making it up, and then I guess like one of the cars crashed into a jet dryer or something on the track, and there was a huge ball of fire. And at that point, like the whole crowd like started just watching the race completely, and they were just not even laughing at anything
shit.
else. Yeah, I think, were you on stage when that happened?
I was on stage, and it was my very first time, so I had no idea how to play to that, how to do any kind of crowd work to try to either make a joke about it or draw the crowd back. I'm like, okay, that's my time, thank you.
Do you call them racist?
No. Well, I remember I went up after that.
Not because they live in Hazel Green,
and
but
I
they're
did-
watching the race.
I did some like Jimmy Johnson joke. I wish I remember it 'cause it was so funny, but like you said, because they're rednecks.
Here's a Jimmy Johnson joke about your mama that you may not like.
But they bought it, and actually they laughed at that, and whatever was going on TV was getting resolved. So then they came back to the show at that point. So it sucks that your first time you got upstaged by a NASCAR race, but hey,
It was memorable
happens.
enough that I got a couple chuckles. I was obviously nervous. My knees were shaky and my voice was quivery, and I even went blank midway through a punchline. But I got a couple chuckles, and that was enough to keep me coming back.
Yeah. I think that's all that matters. Like for me, like first time I did, I've said this, I think every time we've been on it. I did it at the Cove. Yeah, I mean, people laughed. That's all I cared about. I got some chuckles. And for me, like the first time I did it was like validation. Like, all right, well maybe like my sensibilities or my perspective, like people understand that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause I didn't know if even the shit I was going to say was even going to be and people thought it was funny. Like, because I thought it was funny, but I didn't know if other people would think it was funny. And then whenever they laughed at, the "I'm here" joke that I used to do, like, all right, yeah, like, okay,
how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm here. Like, just wanna, yeah.
I still think of that because people at work say that shit all the time.
I say it all the time.
Fucking Sam Ashby would break their ass. Like,
Yeah. Well, like the second time I went up at the Cove, you recorded my set.
Oh yeah.
You remember? And my coworker, she was nice enough to come down with her boyfriend, and they watched me.
You fucked that shit?
No.
Both of them?
No.
I thought you were just talking about the guy.
And
I was talking about Brandon.
Like, hey, I'm not recording it for free.
Exactly. But no, they came down and they watched it. And then the next day, like, we were at work and I was like, hey, how are you doing today? She's like, oh, I'm here. I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to say that. Like, you can still fucking say it in front of me. I don't give a fuck. It's just a joke.
Just like, making fun of you.
I'm just gonna make fun of you. Yeah, when I get on stage again. No. But yeah, that's those are the only people who have come down to see me ever.
The inspiration from one of your jokes showed up to see you perform the joke about.
Pretty much, yeah. So that's the only people who have come down. Like, my family's never come down to see me, and I prefer that actually too. So I wouldn't mind my sister seeing me though, but mom and dad.
What, naked?
Well, whatever. Any option that I can get. Well, not naked. This just went 180 degrees out upward. I don't fucking know, folks. We're having fun. And I should say we can mention that phone number again, but nobody's calling that shit.
281-330-8004.
It's like 931 something.
I got it saved in my phone. I meant to call it, but I just been so busy.
Yeah, that's how I've been
masturbating
and I'm the only one in this panel that gets the Mike Jones reference.
No,
Who?
Okay. I got it.
Who?
I just
Mike Jones.
See, I know a little bit about Mike Jones. I go, who?
Mike Jones.
That's just the only phone number I memorized from a song is 867-5309.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm trying to think of other phone numbers that have been in songs.
555-9292.
So we had a show last night at the Crossroads.
Indeed.
Oh shit.
The comedy competition, and we kind of talked about it before the podcast, but let's just rehash it and then just talk about it. I mean, we can talk about that.
There's a lot of stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
Really, but yeah, if we want to go there, because it's the most recent thing.
Yeah, it's in there.
So Comedy Mayhem, we had comedy competition at the Crossroads, like Sam said. Man, tell you what, a lot of people came out to support the Huntsville comedy scene. I think it was a good show. We had 27 comedians and all come up, 5-minute sets. We talked about the format a little bit on the last podcast if you listen to it. And in the end, one person walked away with the most votes and all the money, $100. It was
Where did you walk away
Jared
with?
Cathrell. I didn't pay myself for that show. Jared Cathrell from Jacksonville, Alabama. He got the $100 an autograph poster and bragging rights. But
I hate I missed him. I was there, but somehow I missed his whole set. I think I was still trying to write mine out or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know either guy.
I noticed Selena and Rob got there before you did.
Yeah. Well, no, I was there at the same time Selena got
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
I noticed
It was
Rob.
Rob
Yeah,
was
yeah.
wife.
Okay. They got there.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I mean, it was a long ass show. I mean, we want to do it again. I know Crossroads, they want to do it again. They already approached me with, hey,
Yeah.
I think we need to do this competition thing maybe once a month or something.
I
But
don't think that's too often.
I think if we do it once a month, it'll be the only show we do once a
I
month.
think, yeah, because it was a big,
Oh, yeah.
like, it was a big thing, like a 3-hour show.
Yeah. And I learned a lot from it because it was the first one we did and maybe put more of a cap on it. I was expecting about 20 comics, and I didn't expect necessarily 27. And I knew we might go longer than our normal shows go. But all in all, the venue was happy. The comedians seemed to have a good time. The audience laughed. That's the most important thing. And they all had a good time. So I think it was an overall successful show.
Yeah, especially when you can tick off the band that's coming on after you. Yeah.
I don't know that they were really ticked off.
Oh, no?
because I went in the green room because they were supposed to come up in like 5 minutes. Supposed to come on at 10. I went in there at like 9:55. I said, hey, we still got like 12 more comedians to go, so we're only halfway through the list. It's gonna be a while. And the guy's like, hey, you guys got a good crowd. Just keep them here. I was like, I'm not gonna promise you that, because I know from past shows here, like as soon as the comedy show's over, everybody leaves. And
You told him that?
yeah, I was like, I'll tell them. I'll say your name a few times on the stage and, see if anybody wants to stick around for it. And I think, for the most part, at that venue, I don't know what their point of view is, but that's, several shows we've had there now that they've paid money, the venue has, to book a band after us. And as soon as the comedy show's over, everybody leaves. So they're just pretty much throwing that money down the drain. They're better off. But I'm not going to tell them how to run their business. I'll just worry about the comedy side and keep it at that.
Yeah, I noticed that again too tonight. Last night. Most of the people there were there to see the show, like comedy show, and then once it ended, like a lot of people left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there might be room down the road for some bigger things happening comedy-wise. The way I look at it, Crossroads right now is the closest thing Huntsville has to a comedy club, because we do have a weekly show there.
Yeah.
And they did tell me at one point, hey, if you can get, touring comics come through, you can have a Friday or Saturday night, and we'll talk about it. So that's an option too. Haven't put that together yet.
Yeah. I think that'll be good. It's definitely growing though. Like I thought last night, that format, like the way we did it and everything, or you did it like the competition and everything, it was just like one big reason for people from the region to come around and just do it. I don't know why. I guess maybe because it's like competition, like people want to compete, like they want to show other people that they're funny. So
yeah, it's about exposure. I think the Huntsville comedians put on a great show, and we're great hosts for the people who came from out of town. Of course, we thank them for coming out like we're supposed to, and being good hosts. But in the long run, they're gonna go back to Nashville and Jacksonville and Florence, wherever they came from, and they're going to say, hey, man, those guys in Huntsville are funny, man. They put on a great show. Check them out. Yeah. And so, ultimately, to get that kind of exposure to that radius around us, how many open mics would us, each one of us had to get in a car, drive 2 hours, and be funny? Yeah. We pretty much hit all those cities at one time without doing anything but just put on a show here. Yeah. And so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. So
I think one aspect, I kind of mentioned this to you before, is something that we can kind of touch on. There's 4 things to a comedy show that I look at. There's 4 different points of view that are to be considered when you do a show. The first one is going to be the audience, the crowd. Yeah. And of course, they're number one. They're trying to make them happy. So from their point of view, what are you doing? What are you giving to them? Second is the comedian standpoint, the performers. What are they getting out of the show? Yeah. They're getting, stage time.
Pussy, money.
Yeah, exactly.
Fame.
The third thing is from a promotion standpoint or a branding standpoint. It could be, you call it Comedy Mayhem, Epic Comedy, Homegrown, whatever. Overall, what you need to look at is the Huntsville comedy scene. What is that gaining from it? The fourth thing is the venue. So there are different points of view to, ways to look at a comedy show. And I think, overall, we've been hitting the mark on all of them, all of our shows here.
I think so too.
Everybody's benefited.
Yeah, most definitely. I was thinking today, I was trying to figure out all the iTunes shit for this podcast and stuff, and I was just thinking one thing I want to try to do differently and try to work on with my comedy and my promotion and shit is just getting out there more and actually meeting people face to face, because I rely too much on Twitter and Facebook and all this social media shit. And today I was literally on the computer for 3 hours, trying to figure out shit, typing up stuff follow so and so on Twitter, follow us, and all that kind of shit. It's just this is tiring, man. I just want to get out and just meet people and just do it organically. instead of just having people follow you on Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
Face to face can make a much better impression.
Oh, I agree too. And like I think Twitter and all that shit, I think it's important, but at the same time, I think what it really comes down to is actually going out. Like the guys from Nashville, and the guys from Jacksonville and Florence, and last night, like you can follow somebody on Twitter, you can add them on Facebook, but if you show up to a show, you're driving like 2 hours. I mean, that really shows commitment. And
carries a lot of weight.
Yeah,
there's a camaraderie too. Like you kind of bond in a quick way.
Yeah,
you guys are both doing something you love.
Yeah,
and so you got something in common. You can instantly talk about when you see each other.
Yeah,
and face to face does work unless you have a face like Guy Frizzell.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I think this is the least.
I don't think many people get your face either.
I don't get that either. I am fucking exhausted, son. Yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, man.
But
I don't have any Red Bull. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about Friday night. We got Homegrown Show at Flying Monkey. You're co-hosting it, right?
That is my hosting, debut at the Flying Monkey. Yeah.
Are you What's your mentality about it? Like, are you excited? How are you preparing for it?
I'm excited and I'm apprehensive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try something gimmicky in between each performer.
Okay.
I'm not gonna try to take up too much time. I'm not gonna try to steal the show, obviously.
Yeah.
Thaddeus asked me if I wanted to do 15 minutes or co-host. I figured, maybe I can expand my resume with co-hosting.
Yeah.
And I thought that could be exciting, but
yeah.
Like I said, I'm apprehensive. Maybe I bit off more than I could chew, but we'll see how it works.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. Like, talking to Mark, like he does, Copper Top and everything. He said like hosting, and I agree with this. I mean, even though I never hosted, he said hosting is totally different from doing a set. I mean, there's a whole. I mean, I'm sure you know. I mean, there's a whole other aspect to it.
Who said that?
Mark, and but yeah, like that's something I'm really excited to see. Is I'm excited to see that. And,
yeah,
it'll be fun.
Hosting, what I've gathered from it so far is, like he said, like Brandon said, it's not the Brandon Imes show or the Jonathan Craig show. No. You're not the show. Your whole purpose is to move the show along and advance
it's the facilitator.
So it's the people who are on the show's show. It's for the audience, like we discussed, but you're not out there to showcase, say, hey, I'm the best or whatever. Yeah. It's not about that. It's all about who's getting up there, who's making them laugh. If someone isn't successful at doing that, you can do a little bit, try to win the crowd back, but just be the facilitator pretty much.
Yeah.
But it can be tiring, getting up and down so many times.
Yeah. After I told him I would go ahead and be a co-host, I started thinking, well, maybe I can tell him I just want to do 15 minutes. But then, by then it was too late. And I'm like, well, kind of wish I was just doing one set. Then I'd be, done when it's done. So, a little bit of anxiety, but if I do a good job, if I have fun, if I get some laughs, then it can be pretty rewarding.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you did fine. I mean, you helped me on that one Comedy Mayhem gig, and we did that a little bit differently than how you're going to do it tomorrow. So, you did. You're good, man. It's just being who you are.
All right. Well, I'm gonna drink some raw eggs and run up the stairs in Philadelphia.
What's in the
movie?
Yeah, here we go. Eye of the Tiger. Yeah.
The movie.
I'm gonna get pumped. I'm gonna get hyped, and it's gonna be a good show.
Get hyped, get pumped.
Yeah.
I was I'm running sound, and I was thinking about.
Are you running sound tomorrow night?
Yeah,
he's running sound.
How the fuck did you get to run sound?
God, motherfucker, I got connections.
I am like. Never mind.
Hey, look, he runs his own podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
He's the sound guy now.
Yeah, he does it all.
But I was thinking about. It's cool if it's not a good idea, but thinking about like making like burn a CD and have a song for each comic, and as they come up, like. What did you do? Like, what was it? Like, did you just have your iPod attached?
I had Jason Steinhauser's iPod.
Oh, really?
With all his 90s music on it.
Oh, really?
And I just jammed out to that.
I think that's what, I know Tom would just bring his iPod and just play whatever between.
Well, the way that the way I did it at the Epics, which I found out probably isn't the best way, but at the Epics, some of them did want certain songs played.
Yeah.
But the way that Thaddeus explained it, it seems like it's a lot easier, especially with the kind of soundboard they have. It's just either put a CD in or put your iPod in and just let it continuously play random whatever, like you have a playlist or whatever, even if it's on a CD.
Yeah.
That way all you're doing is hitting the sound up, hitting it down. You're not putting anything special on for anybody.
That's true, yeah. I think that'll be the easiest thing, just because.
Because realistically, like, I know, like, we all, like, when we did the green room, hey, come pick what song you want to go up to. And you see, like, some of them at the green room would go up, and they would dance to their song when they first come. Like, come on. How many of us are actually going to do that? Any of us that are on that show tomorrow night?
Then the white guy comes up and says, "Do you have any Dave Matthews Band you can bring me out to?"
Yes.
No matter where I go, I hear fucking Dave Matthews Band. I mean, and it's all the shit from like the early '90s. It's like, really? We're still listening to Dave Matthews Band? I mean, like every fucking store.
It was crazy when I went to college, like how many people my age like still listen to like Dave Matthews Band.
DMB, man.
Yeah. I think Guy prefers Blues Traveler.
Yeah, the hook. I got the hook. Come on, that was the name of their song, Blues Traveler.
Is that a reference to that chick who you were checking out at that one epic comedy album?
Is that on the last podcast?
Yeah, it was the last podcast.
Oh wow,
Guys, that was. We just listened to like the last 6 minutes of it because I've only actually made it like an hour in on my own up to this point. I don't remember any of at least the last 6 minutes, possibly more. I was really drunk.
Yeah. My porch would say so.
Porch would probably cry.
But let's keep it going.
Yeah,
I guess
it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Let's keep it moving.
Brandon, who do you look up to comedy wise? Like who are some of your influences?
You don't have to say me. It's okay.
Well, everybody at this table right now, obviously, on this podcast.
Thanks, man. I can see a lot of me and you, so.
I see a lot of me and you later.
See where a little
My
bit.
penis in your butthole.
I went for the mouth hole.
My sphincter is puckering just hearing all this, by the way. To sound like a broken record, Louis C.K. obviously is, kind of changing the game.
Yeah.
The way, the business of comedy is being played out.
Yeah.
And he's just great. He's eclectic.
Yeah.
He's got something for everybody. He's got, clever humor. He's got, blue collar stuff.
Yeah.
He's got something for everybody. If any of you listening are familiar with my current style of humor, I'll do a lot of punchy one-liners in the spirit of Mitch Hedberg, Stephen Wright, Rodney Dangerfield. So I guess right now you could say those guys and maybe Dimitri Martin.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Pretty heavily influenced what I do now.
Yeah.
But a couple other people I look up to are like Bill Cosby, Jeff Foxworthy, George Carlin. I think they're all masterful.
Yeah. I think Louis, with him, I think it's almost a given now. It's almost like Louis to me is like the Beatles of music. Like everybody's influenced by the Beatles when it comes to like bands and shit. It's kind of like comedy with him. Like everybody's influenced by Louis C.K. Like he's like almost like a given now.
And when you see interviews, he seems like he's kept a pretty level head. Down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
He hasn't let it get to him. He's kept a.
I think that's good too with having somebody like that being so level headed because comedy is a very ego driven thing. So it's good to have somebody who's really popular and really famous right now who knows the ego driven nature about it and everything. So I don't know, but Bill Burr was in Birmingham
last night.
Last night, yeah.
That sucks. You missed it.
I know. I really wanted to see it, but last night was the worst time for me to do anything. So.
Especially stand up.
Yeah, yeah.
How many votes?
According to my set. So.
Are we going through the list? No,
that's all right.
Fuck it.
What do you mean? What list?
The
tally.
Because they asked you how many votes you got last night.
Oh, I know how many.
Okay.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Proud number, man.
Yeah.
You did better than I did.
I thought you got 9. Yeah, he got 9, didn't he?
Were from people I knew, so
I think I think 7 were from all people I knew.
I think Tammy Bucky got 13 from people she knew.
Oh, that's funny. I'm keeping that in.
That's how it works, right? The whole thing was
Yeah.
invite your friends and let them vote for you.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
fuck it. You got that many votes. That's how it works.
Just like the Laughing Skull caption contest, you know, the one that wins the free tickets is the
Oh
one
yeah,
that has the most.
that shit's always rigged.
Yeah.
The system running against me.
I was gonna drink that Coke.
Oh, were you? Well, too bad.
I got some more Coke.
I know.
What?
Coca-Cola for those listeners. I'm
No.
not a drug user.
No.
You got the mirrors out.
We got our tigers out. That's a Scarface reference.
Oh, man.
We got our pipes out. I don't know.
We got our dicks out.
We got our dicks out. I think every podcast we've mentioned dicks at least once. And just talk.
I usually mention dicks at least every 50 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't keep my mind off dicks.
Can't either.
It's a good sporting goods store.
That's the punchline I was going to go with. Have you seen the size of the balls behind that big dick sign?
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Okay, I got a question for everybody.
What's up?
What's everybody's like long-term comedy aspirations? You know, your goals.
That's a good question. You start.
Not to die.
You mean like literally or figuratively on stage?
No. Like, I want to live forever. That's my goal.
Oh yeah.
No. Shit, man. Put me on the spot. No, I mean, I enjoy doing this. I think there's not anything else that, at this stage of my life, I can think of that I enjoy doing more than stand-up comedy. But I don't know that I want to be a stand-up comedian. It's something to do. It's like I mentioned before, doing stand-up, you gotta have different hats or different things in your arsenal you can do. Same thing. Like I just want to be known as a comedian, not a stand-up. So, but as far as that goes, I'd be cool with like being a writer, writing stuff for like late night shows, talk shows, or Saturday Night Live. That would be a cool thing. I want to learn as much as I can, do stand-up while it's there for me to do, but ultimately I want to be more behind the scenes or acting, which I've done a little bit of. But
Do you think it would feel weird somebody else telling your joke?
well, Guy Frizzell does that.
Shit, whatever.
No, that's your joke. I'm just, I like
some
fucking the guy.
prominent
that-
name getting like big laughs, some joke you know you wrote.
No, I mean, I think I would be okay with that. I mean, ultimately, it's still me, but when you're writing, you're not writing for yourself anyways. You're writing in their voice, so you know their style, and you just have to be able to write in different styles. So even though you write the joke, it's really not your joke.
That's true.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. One thing I'm trying to do lately is just trying to think about the audience when I'm writing jokes and shit.
oh shit.
Like, pandering,
Picture them naked.
But well, one thing that I still don't understand. Like, I still don't know what makes the audience here laugh. Like, what kind of jokes they like? You know what I mean? Like, and one thing,
Incest, rape jokes.
Huntsville is such a weird town that way.
it really is, yeah. Well, I think one reason why it's weird is because there's a lot of people who've moved here, you know, from not the South, you know. But then also there's people who are from here. I mean, you know, like Southerners. So it's kind of like a mix of different cultures and shit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird vibe to like try to figure out like what people enjoy, like, you know, hear jokes about.
So what are your goals?
My goals?
Long term doing comedy, you want to make something out of it, or
I'd like to. I'd like to maybe eventually get on a show and write. Like, I'd love to be a writer for a show or something like that. I mean, if I have to travel on the road, you know, go on the road and be a road comic, I'd love to do that. I don't know, man. My thing is, like, I just like writing,
yeah.
you know, whatever it is, you know, stories or jokes or comedy or whatever. Like, that's just what I want to do, and I think this is one outlet, you know, to do that. But if stand-up comedy, you know, was an option to do the rest of my life, I would do it. I mean, why not? The only thing is, like, you just hear so many, like, road comics talk about, like, how miserable they are all the time. It's just, like, I don't want to be, like, a miserable, you know, just working on, like, road all the time and just stay, you know, eat at the same Waffle House every night. And, yeah.
Be like Doug Stanhope, you know, how easy it was for him to portray that character Eddie on that episode of Louie.
Yeah, exactly. Be that. Yeah, be.
Which
yeah.
he knocked out of the park. It was a great portrayal.
Just be that washed up kind of guy. Like I don't want to be that. Like, but at the same time, like I do want to keep doing this or be along the same path of be like performing and writing and stuff. Like I love doing it. So whatever that takes me.
You stepped out for a second when I asked Jonathan, like, would you feel weird if you were a writer for like, a sitcom or a late night talk show? Would you feel weird somebody else performing and getting laughs with your joke?
Yeah, I would. At this moment in time, I would. I guess if I were in that position though, and I had a good paying job writing for the Tonight Show or Conan or whatever, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck because I'm doing this. And they're using my shitty jokes, and I'm making more money than they are right now. So, but yeah, I probably wouldn't care. I mean, I've had one joke stolen already. I don't really care. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say any names, but I bet I can guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
something about hardwood.
Oh yeah.
Has something to do with hardwood, I think.
Something with interior design, but we won't get into that.
Oh.
All right, Guy, your turn.
I've already really hit my goals with comedy. Like when I don't really have any goals right now for it. Like when I first started was, I first saw local comedy at a place called the Flying Monkey, and I was like, well, I want to do comedy there. And then I did that, and I mean, I wanted to be on Epic first because that's all I knew was.
Yeah.
Then I got on Homegrown, and I was like, wow, I already hit my goal. And then I finally did Epic, and I was like, wow, now I've really hit my goal. And like since then, I really haven't set any new goals. Of course, I haven't really put forth the time or effort to accomplish anything else as far as going on the road or getting a show in a different city, a local city or anything.
Well, it's hard, man. I mean, it's hard if it's not your main pay source of income and you're working all the time. I mean,
especially in this city, like
yeah,
and I don't have what it
stage
takes
time
right now to like drop everything and move to another city and practice comedy full time.
Well, I always think about that too, and I was we're talking about maybe moving to Chicago and stuff, and I would love to do that eventually, but it's like, is it better? Here's one question I thought of this week was, is it better to be a big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a big pond?
Yeah.
And I think right now, for me personally, I think it's better to be a big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's just you get more, and then if you just keep working at it, and then maybe just branch out, I think you can get just as much exposure that way as you do if you were in Chicago or NYC or LA.
I the same exact thing you said.
Yeah.
Big fish, little pond, small fish, big pond. That's the same reference I used to talk myself out of going to Chicago.
Yeah.
Because it scares me to think, like, I'd be starting back at zero.
Yeah, all over.
But you're gonna have to do it at some point.
Yeah.
I realize that. But I mean, right now, what I'll say about the Huntsville comedy scene is, I think right now is the best time to be in the Huntsville comedy scene at any point in time. Everybody has so many more opportunities with the open mics that are up now than back when me or Justin or the other guys started. There's more opportunities for stage time just at open mics, and also shows that are coming out. You got Epic and Homegrown and Comedy Mayhem doing our thing. So that's one thing that's hard for me to leave at this point. It's just seeing everything growing, and I love watching that. But not to get back away from that, but Brandon, you want to answer your own question as far as your goals?
Long term, I don't know for sure. One thing I've thought really hard about is being a sitcom writer, maybe getting some credentials for that, and taking some courses at Improv Olympics or Second City that they offer in Chicago. As of right now, I guess kind of a short-term / long-term comedy goal is to open for somebody noteworthy. Somebody with Comedy Central credit or something.
Yeah.
Somebody with TV credit.
Yeah.
As far as I love seeing the Huntsville scene grow. I love being a part of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the prospect of trying a bigger city and either flourishing or bombing, both of them sound exciting to me.
Yeah.
Flourishing is great. Keep working with what I got. Bombing means I know exactly, well, not exactly, but I know a good starting point.
Yeah.
What I need to do.
Yeah.
To try to shape up, to where I need to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of weird when I think about like doing a bigger city like Chicago. The only reason why I keep going back to Chicago with my thoughts is because I have family there and stuff, and I think I could catch on to things there a little bit better than anywhere else where I didn't have a support system. But just the thought of, like you said, like bombing, that is a very real possibility, going there and bombing. And I'm not saying that I've not bombed here, because I have. I've gone up and jokes not go over. And I know Guy wants to say every time I go on stage, like I said, look in your eye. But there's just to know where I am now here in Huntsville, like you said, small pond, to go to where the big pond is and know, man, it's going to be an even bigger mountain to climb.
Yeah.
I know mountains don't grow in water or ponds, but just to know, like, it seemed like it would be even more insurmountable. But like you said, there's a flip side to that coin. So
yeah, it can make you drive that much harder.
Yeah. I mean, guys that are there, I mean, they do 2-3 shows a night, and I just don't think I'm ready for that right now.
See,
the reason.
That's one thing that attracts me to like the bigger cities, is because there's open mics every night, and you can like
more than one open mic.
Yeah, more than one open mic every night. Like in New York City, like you can go to one open mic, have an idea for a joke, and then by the end of the night, like have gone to like 6 open mics, and by the end of that night, have a refined joke that you worked on throughout the entire night. Where here, I mean, you've only got 2 open mics a week, so it takes more time to, I think, in my opinion, to like hash out, like at least try it out, and I think that's why it's kind of hard, at least for me, to try out new material, because we don't have that much stage time. Yeah. But I'll take what I can get, man. I mean, I don't care. Like I said, I'd rather be here though than like in a big scene, honestly.
Now, I mean, like your question about our long-term goals and things. I mean, that's a good question, but really, like doing, looking at it from a standpoint that is where we're so early on in our comedy careers, a year or 2 in.
Right.
I mean, who knows, man? I mean, some of us might not ever do it again in another year. A year from now, we might find something else that, I mean,
True.
We might be turned off to comedy or something. I mean,
yeah,
you never know what could happen, but it's good to have those goals, have long-term goals and things like that. But another question I have is, as far as like coming up with material, I know you mentioned we don't have a lot of open mics, but I think we all kind of said writing, or the 3 of us, guys texting.
It's fully engaged into this podcast.
But so how often do you guys actually sit down and write? Do you just write a premise and like file it? Do you sit down and try to come up with the whole thing at one time? Where do you guys stand on that?
I don't have any patterns, and I think that's part of my problem. Yeah, like, I'll try to think of a joke, and like most of the time, I think of jokes right when I wake up while I'm laying in bed, or kind of sometimes when I'm going to bed, or in the shower.
Yeah.
But like, I'll try to think of stuff while I'm out doing things, and sometimes I do. Sometimes it just happens, like, oh, I think of something funny to say, make a joke out of it that works well, but like, I can't sit down and make myself write for nothing. I just can't do it. I suck at it.
Yeah, at that point, I can definitely relate, because when you make yourself sit down and write, it goes from being a hobby to a chore.
Exactly. That's how it is with me too. Like the only time I can sit down and write is whenever I have like, I'm not thinking of comedy or anything. I just have a thought that comes in my head, like, oh shit, that's kind of funny, and then like I kind of get energized off that. But after like that juice runs out, I'm like, all right, I can't do anything more. Like, and that comes literally probably just once a week.
Yeah, you can't force the muse. It's hard for me anyway.
That's kind of my mentality about it. Like I can't force like inspiration. Like if something comes to me, like I write it down, but then like I can't just sit there with a blank piece of paper and just like try to rack my brain. Like, I mean.
Same here. Any time of day, something can occur to me, something that I think could be a funny punchline. Mm-hmm. I'll jot down a premise on my iPhone and come back to it later. Yeah. And I'll try it out the next open mic or whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as like, okay, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock today, I'm going to write. I can't make myself do anything like that.
That's how I am too.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it a lot of different ways. I think doing it organically is the best, just as it comes. But I have done it where, like, I sat down and I'm like, look, let's come up with whatever and try to come up with different ways of coming up with jokes. I've done just premises. Just let me just write a list of premises and then not even try to write the rest of the joke. I've just filed that away, and then I'll come back a month later, pull that sheet of paper out, and write 2 or 3 jokes off the premise list.
Yeah.
Or I've sat down with like just a couple of premises that I come up with right on the spot, and then I've done brainstorming. And I know some people say don't brainstorm a joke, but for me, sometimes it works to come up with like what's funny about that. And then
I think that's a good exercise.
Actually,
man.
as far as brainstorming, I've read books and been to workshops that encourage brainstorming.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other way, and this is the way that the majority of the stuff is it'll just come to me, and it'll happen at different times. I've probably forgotten more funny ideas for jokes than I've actually remembered.
Oh yeah.
Just because a lot of times when I'm working, and where I work, I don't have access to like a computer or a sheet of paper that I can just write down stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm writing notes on my hand, and then that will get washed off when I go to the bathroom or whatever, and I never actually transferred it into something I can keep. So,
Yeah.
And then another way of writing that I like doing is writing on stage. Just kind of come up with a premise, not even the joke, maybe just off that list that I made a month ago, just a bunch of premises, and go up there and come up with it on stage. And at the end of the night, maybe come away with 1 or 2.
That's something I want to try to start working on, is just writing from stage, like just having an idea. And my thing is, like, a roadblock I have right now is trying to, whenever I think of an idea or a thought, I have to have at least one funny thing to say about that thought in order for me to do it on stage. If I don't, I'm like, oh, fuck this, I don't want to even do it, because I don't feel like, every time I'm on stage, even at open mics, like, I want laughs. Like, I don't want to go up there and just not have anybody laugh at anything. Like, but I think that's something that or me personally, I kind of want to get over. Like, you're going to have sets where you're not going to get any laughs, especially open mics if you're trying out new shit. I mean, you were talking about, like, Dave Attell.
Right, you know, big names. You know, some comics that I really admire that I saw in New York that I've seen on TV many a times. I'm like, oh, right, these are my favorite guys. I can't wait to see them. You know, at the Comedy Cellar, you find out that they're workshopping stuff, and like, oh, well, this is funny, but, you know, not nearly up to what I expected based on what I've seen, you know, on their, like, you know, HBO or Comedy Central specials.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point I'm at right now, is trying to get over that barrier of, like, having shit that I know is going to be funny, doing it, and then versus having shit that I don't know if it's going to be funny and not doing it. Like, just get over that fear of not doing it and just do it and see where it goes. Like,
something I do at like open mics around here when I have some new material is, I know a lot of you guys say that you don't like doing the same jokes every time you go up there, but what I'll do is I'll take 1 or 2 jokes that I know have worked, and I'll work them into my set. And sometimes I'll start off with intro to the crowd and something just tongue-in-cheek, and then I'll start working on whatever the new material is. I might have 2 or 3 new jokes that I'm just kind of working on. Yeah. And then, depending on how those go, I put those normally towards the front, and then I'll end my set with jokes I know have worked. And so I did that for like 2 months, and every time I would go, I would have like 4 or 5 new ideas, and I came out with a lot of decent stuff with it. I'm not gonna say it's the best stuff, but I mean, yeah, guy, you could talk. You could talk. Don't just shake your head. Say stuff. It's a podcast.
I know that one shot of Patron hasn't done you in for the night.
No, I am just fucking tired. I almost want to go home.
Well, go home, motherfucker.
No,
man, I'm not shackling you to the chair.
But
Cool, whatever you want to do. You know, we got caffeinated beverages. If that helps.
Talk about hamburgers.
No way, Jose.
Oh man.
People from Germany?
Yeah. No. Chickens, hamburger chickens.
Tofu.
I always thought that was weird that they had hamburger chickens.
I've never even heard of it.
It's like a style of chicken. It's like, I'm sorry.
A cow chicken?
You mean like
they
the
do
chicken
look
sandwich?
It's like the Nickelodeon show.
Chicken sandwich?
Cow and chicken.
It's like people who raise chickens. If any of you are listening, people who are listening to the podcast right now raise chickens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They have like a comb that's kind of floppy. They're a certain kind of style of chicken.
It's a rooster.
It's a cow.
No, even the chickens have that too, though.
I don't fucking know.
That's still a weird turn, didn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck
This just
me.
got weird.
Yeah.
You know,
Farm
like,
animals on a podcast?
Holy shit.
you know, I do like to go for abstract, and I try to go to where most people won't go. But this took a weird turn, even for me.
Dude.
You're welcome.
Sam's bedroom. Is where most people won't go.
Yeah.
That's where they turn.
It's a weird place. One question that I saw online, and I thought was a good question, is if you saw yourself on stage performing, what would you not like about your set or your performance? I thought it was a good question.
Yeah, this
Having
guy
too big of a
answered.
dick.
Too big of a dick,
Yeah.
just in front of the
I would
mic.
probably say, I don't know. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I haven't either. That was a
What
good
would
question.
you like about yourself?
Yeah, well, not yourself, but like your set or
What
your
would or
performance. You wouldn't. What would you not like?
Well, for me, in body language, I never know what to do.
Yeah.
With my non-microphone holding hand, like,
Yeah.
should I have it, hanging at my side or in my pocket? Do I look
What about
uptight
my
if it's in my pocket? Should I be, gesturing something? It's
on.
my persona. I mean, I'm naturally kind of timid and, introverted, withdrawn. I never know whether I should, play that up as a stage persona, just, an exaggerated version of myself.
Yeah.
Or if I should remedy it, make it, kind of a,
Yeah.
a standard comedian type of presence. I
Yeah.
never know what to do with that. But
Yeah. I think that's something that it takes a while for you, to kind of figure out. I mean, I don't know either. I mean, like last night I just stood there, with the microphone out of the stand and just said my jokes.
Right, and like keep the microphone in the stand or hold it.
Yeah,
or, lean
yeah.
on the stand, but have the microphone in your hand, or
I've always liked taking it out though for some reason. I don't know why. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't really move around. Like,
Your penis?
My- well, yeah, I
It
like
doesn't
taking
move
it out.
around a lot. You just take it out.
yeah, it totally does not move around a lot. Not at all.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've critiqued, video and audio myself. I obviously listen to myself on this podcast. I hate
Yeah.
it. Hate my voice.
Yeah, I do too.
You hate my voice?
No,
Thanks. No,
that's not what I
I
meant.
hate my voice.
Okay, looking at like the first Homegrown show, the video for that. There's a little. I mean, I always kind of had the mic stand in my hand, even though I had the microphone in one hand. I'm holding the mic stand, just kind of walking around the stage with it like a retard.
Yeah.
But it's you kind of learn. I still like holding the mic stand too. And then another thing from that video, I smiled like after every joke. I'll tell a joke, people would laugh, and I'll just smile.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, tell another joke. Like, don't stop, keep going.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot with my audio stuff that I've recorded or had recorded at Crossroads.
Yeah.
And I went back and edited it. I pause what I think is a little bit too long, but
Yeah.
it's just a natural thing that I do.
Yeah.
That when I edit it back, it's easy just to go back and just take those pauses out in editing. But when I listen to the finished product of an edited audio clip, to me it flows better because I take out all the pauses. But when I'm on stage and I'm delivering it, sometimes my delivery requires that I pause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying, buddy.
I can relate. I like to try to make people make that one extra thought before they get my punchline, and so for me, a lot of times that pause is necessary, and I can definitely relate as far as smiling, because even if I've told the joke 100 times, just seeing somebody responding to it the first time, laughing, it's honestly fun for me, and I can't help but enjoy it with the audience.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, did Guy Frizzell just leave? Like, he just got up, didn't say bye.
I'm sure he hit the can or
Did you go out the
something.
front door?
Yeah.
Did he go out the front door?
Yeah, he took your dog with him, too.
Yeah, not
Bye,
Barney.
Barney.
Yeah. I love Barney.
He loves you, too.
I
Big
think
purple dinosaurs rock.
No, he was named after the deputy sheriff on Andy Griffith.
But no, I think one thing I just like about mine is like I say a lot, like verbal tics.
Placeholders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
looking down at the stage. Oh, one thing I notice that I do every time I start out, I go up to the mic and I immediately look down the floor and I just go, "What's up?" or something like that. Like I just yell into the mic, and I just take it out. Like I take the mic out of the mic stand and put it down. Then I look up at the audience. Like I think when you first go up, like, you need to look up at the audience instead of, just looking down. And,
Yeah, you're not just out there telling jokes. I mean, you're performing. It's a performance. You're trying to get the audience to have fun with you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I need to work on. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, whenever I watch that February Comedy Mayhem show, I recorded on my phone, just like my body language and stuff. Like, I was just pacing back and forth, checking my notes like every 5 seconds. Like, God, like, I didn't feel like that was a good set, like, in terms of just like my performance and everything. I don't know. I think that just comes with time. I mean, better.
And I've heard on other podcasts with more seasoned comedians talking, starting out, you might work on one thing for a year, or you might work on another thing for a few months until you feel like you've gotten it down. And there's so many different aspects of stand-up that to put them all together is what, to be awesome, to be an awesome stand-up. But it's good that, at this point that we're all kind of able to see certain things and that we can work on. I mean, connecting with the audience, I think, like you said, the performance aspect of it versus the joke. And that's what a lot of people starting out don't get. Like, I've recently at some of the open mics, because there have been some comedians who've only gone up like 5 times now, and they'll always say, "Oh, but I don't have any new jokes." But it doesn't matter. Go up and tell the same jokes. What you need to work on is your stage presence and delivery.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you go up there and sing the alphabet in a different voice each time, and you might get a little laugh out of it, but just the actual delivery aspect of it and feeling comfortable on stage. Once you feel comfortable on stage, then worry about the material and coming up with new stuff. But I will say also, there have been comedians in the Huntsville scene that I've seen just go up, instantly take to the stage, instantly have funny material, and so it's compare and contrast. But the ones, if any of you are listening, I'm not going to say names, obviously.
Jeff Graham.
No, I'm saying from the aspect of who's after an open mic will say, "Well, what'd you think about this joke?" No, it doesn't matter about your jokes. All that matters is the delivery and stage presence when you're first starting out. I mean, even like if you've been up there 20 times, still, it doesn't matter about the jokes. Keep working on it.
Right. Just tell the same joke over and over. Just don't keep doing it the same way if it keeps failing. Figure out what did work and what didn't work, and make it different next time. I go to see a lot of comedians, anywhere within a 4-hour radius of Huntsville. Atlanta, Nashville, Chattanooga. I saw Jim Norton recently, and stopped him for a second and said, "Hey, do you have any advice for an up and comer?" And he said, "Yeah, record everything."
I think that's I was about to say that too. Like, that's what I've been doing recently, is recording all my stuff and just listening back to it and seeing where, like, not where I could have added stuff or where I could have just, like, if I got a big laugh, like, where could I have taken that to even get a bigger laugh? You know what I mean? Like, just thinking about different things like you wouldn't have thought about if you were just on stage.
Right. It takes some work, to get over, hearing yourself. A lot of us hate the sound of our own voice, especially me. I mumble and I have an awkwardly deep voice, but a lot of times, listening back, you can figure out, where you needed to, slow down or speed up, or a lot of times listening back, you can figure out another tag you could have added.
Yeah.
So it's really important, I think. I believe him. I understand.
For me, something I've realized with some of the recordings I've done is like I said, I do the same jokes. You're still trying to learn things. So delivering a joke, the very first time I've told it, I have recordings where it's the first time I told this joke ever, and he gets a good reaction. I'm like, yes, that's a workable joke.
Yeah. And
I keep that recording. But each time I tell that joke, I never deliver it the same way from the first time, and I don't get the same reaction sometimes. And that's part of it too. Like, oh, I'm telling the same joke. Oh, and if the joke before didn't go over as well, then you're kind of like not buying into what you're selling, and then the whole set's going to go downhill from there. So I think if you sell a joke one time and it goes over, and obviously you can still work on tweaking it and different things, but whatever inflection you put on a certain word that kind of got a little chuckle, you got to keep that in your head, or that's why it's good to record it, have audio or video, so that you're like, the way I said it was funny, not what I said. So that goes with the performance aspect of it. to be able to hit those marks every time the same way. And yeah, you can still tag it at the end. Like I said last podcast, that's one of my favorite things is if I say a joke and then I just ad-lib something at the end, and sometimes it's funnier than the actual joke.
Yeah, most definitely. So
this has been the quietest podcast, aside from the rain.
Did he really leave?
I don't know.
I'm beginning to wonder.
I don't know.
There's a pretty much full red stripe sitting here in his chair, so
He could be taking a dump.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
in the front yard, I hope not. I mean, I got enough weeds growing without fertilizer.
But yeah, man. What else do we got to talk about? We have anything else?
How far are we right now?
An hour in.
Really?
We just did an hour.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I've had fun. I mean, some people might. I don't know. I want to hear feedback from the people who are listening.
Let's talk about that.
And not necessarily call the hotline, but hey, there's a Facebook page, Spontaneous Humor Combustion.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that might be a way that you got a hold of this.
Yeah.
Send
me or Jonathan or Guy a message or any of the guests.
I mean, my thing is like, what are we've heard 4 podcasts now. This is the 4th one. They've all been a little bit different. Sometimes we go into discussion like this. It's been kind of like a little bit more serious tone, talking about the comedy scene and starting out as comics, and that's really what we are. We're part of the Huntsville comedy scene. We're starting out, just so you get the concept of what this is. But the last podcast was a little bit more cut up and stuff, and maybe the ones before that. Yeah. But do you take anything from what we're doing tonight and stuff that we do before? Compare and contrast a little bit. Let us know.
That's what I really want to know too, and I'm really appreciative of the people who listen to it, like you, and who actually go and listen to it. It's just just not the fact that they're not guests on it; they just listen to it. I know Thad's listened to it a few times, and that really means a lot to me.
That's the only way that this podcast gets better is constructive, positive things that we can do.
Yeah.
Let us know and deliver it and be honest. But hey, come on, we have
don't
to
be a douchebag.
Right. We want to keep being interesting and figuring out what what you like to hear and what you'd like to hear discussed.
Yeah, most definitely. Because that's the thing. I want to talk about the Huntsville comedy scene, but after a while, there's only so much shit we can talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just where do we go? We can talk about comedy all we want. I think one thing I need to do is listen to more podcasts, see what they talk about, and just keep it interesting.
There are things. We can talk about our daily lives and stuff like that too. Yeah. But man, my life sucks, man. Let's not talk about that.
Well, I think the thing that's universal across anybody that aspires to perform in comedy, hobby or full time.
Yeah.
I was in high school. I made good grades without even trying. I had a lot of expectations from classmates. I got salutatory and, basically never studying. People are like, so where are you going to college? What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Who makes good money? Like, engineers. I'm like, okay, what do they do? Like, well, they do a lot of math. I'm like, okay, I like math.
Yeah.
I graduated from, I got my electrical engineering degree in 2006. I did that for 7 years. Eventually got obviously so bored that, I got walked out, and I've been unemployed for 7 weeks. And I'm sitting here kicking myself in the ass, wishing that I had gotten into comedy sooner. But how do we get into this?
I don't know, man. We just started. It's cool, man.
By the way, I got a text from Guy a minute ago. He said, I can't stop pooing.
I thought you went out into my front yard.
He just put more than Justin let alone.
He shit all the boredom out of his ass.
All at one time.
God damn.
And,
was it explosive?
Was it fun?
It was a blockbuster.
I gotta ask you, Yoo-hoo or beef stew?
It was like,
oh, I love beef stew.
Used to.
We're like YouTube. Oh shit.
Daily lives. I was an engineer for 7 years. I hated myself every single day, progressively more and more. And if you're that type that can find yourself happy and comfortable with being in a cubicle 9 hours a day, then more power to you. I couldn't bring myself to do that.
I wish I had.
So right now I'm in between jobs. I'm taking some time for soul searching, and comedy is one of the things that's going on in my life right now, pretty hard, and I'd like to explore that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see where that takes me. I may throw in the towel and get another 9 to 5. But, if you've ever thought about doing something else with your life that you would enjoy better than what you're currently doing, I think the sooner you try that, the better.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I'm just like, we kind of touched on earlier is just like, where is this thing going to be in a year? Like, who's going to still be in it? Who's going to be out of it? Like, who's going to be burned out? Who's just going to just stop? You know what I mean? Then, like, the people who do stop, who's that going to leave behind, and who's going to...
I don't know. I'm hoping like a year from now, Huntsville has a scene big enough to draw in, notable, names like, Hannibal Buress or, somebody.
That's what I'm hoping. I hope from a year now it's big enough to where it just keeps, like, some of us could quit and it can still keep
snowballing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think it's at a point right now that it's going to go on with or without who's in it.
You think so?
Any one of us could leave, someone else is going to.
See, that's what I'm worried about. Like, if
which direction it will go?
Yeah,
it might go in a different direction than it is now, and that's fine because it's just the scene. But I agree with the fact, kind of what Brandon said. I would get more out of things at this point if we had those opportunities to open for people. Like in Atlanta, you get Todd Glass coming to Laughing Skull, and you get like 3 comics up there. One of them who's been here to Huntsville that me and Guy perform with, hosting the show. Like, those opportunities aren't here in Huntsville right now, but I would love for them to be.
Well, I think that's something,
and that would be something that would keep me going harder than I am now.
That's something collectively all of us need to get together as comics, as a scene, to get together and say, okay, what do we need to do to take this to the next level? To where if any of us were to stop, if you were to stop doing the Comedy Mayhem shows, if there was to stop doing the Epic shows, if that was to stop doing the Homegrown shows, where the fuck does that leave us? You know what I mean? Like, and then like the open mics, like will the open mics still go on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's something we need to think about, as a collective group. And
it's all about cultivating the scene.
Yeah.
And like I said, those 4 things that you gotta consider: making a show, making the scene. They all kind of go together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think last night was really fun. Is really good too, because I think if people from out of town are invested in it, then that just motivates people.
Word of mouth, man.
Yeah,
exactly. This podcast is a good advertisement, good word of mouth.
Social media.
Yeah, and from my point of view, like Crossroads, they said, we get a bigger name to come in Friday, Saturday night.
I think that's something we need to start.
I think that's something we seriously, as a group, need to focus on in the upcoming months.
I agree.
So
I agree. Do you like a big name as in like the list you gave, or like I think a big name like that, then also like kind of like Epic has been doing is drawing in like local regional,
the people Epic bring in set the stage for even a bigger person.
I think.
Those guys have been coming here now, going on 2 years. Big, people from Atlanta and Knoxville and wherever, Nashville last month. We had a lot of good comics, and all that just sets it up for us to say to like these agents, these booking agents, say, hey, look, we have shows on Fridays here at the Art Center. We bring in 300 people at times, and look, if we had someone of your caliber, we would pack it out, and you guys would get paid, and just give us the opportunities to go on.
That's a good point.
So we do know that there's going to be a downtown venue coming up available soon.
Yeah, and I love that spot, man. Part of the attraction to doing shows at what's called Crossroads is the actual location, but now they are relocating, and that stage,
a lot of that appeal is going to get zapped away,
and that room is going to be changed. It's just cool because it has the upstairs balcony and everything. I would love to see a comedy club open there. That I think would be cool. You get 700 people in there, standing room even. You have 3 bars in the place, upstairs and down. It'd be an awesome place to draw some bigger names. I like the stage, green room, the setup. It does need some renovation and maintenance, from what I can see. But
scrape some gum out from underneath the tables on the edge of the bar.
Yeah,
but it doesn't take much.
What's up, Guy? Nothing.
So Guy has a fresh empty colon right now.
No, I'm probably gonna have to go back in there. Actually,
well, you had to wait for Sam.
A fresh empty, almost empty colon.
Yeah.
It's full of meat.
Yeah, I think I ate too much meat for dinner. Too much chicken followed by beef.
You want some Metamucil?
No, doesn't that make you go more?
Isn't that for old
Yeah,
people?
you need some fiber.
I don't need to go more. I had my Fiber One bars today in my.
How many did you eat?
Just one.
Oh.
So that explains what I've been smelling.
How was it?
My PS, it was awesome.
Oh,
I'm due
I
for
didn't know
one
if it
soon.
smelled bad in there.
Oh no, it wasn't bad at all.
Yo, booty smells nice. Horrible pickup line.
So what were we talking about? I don't
Nothing.
know.
Crossroads and how to run the
Crossroads.
comedy club.
One thing,
The local scene.
one thing I was thinking about today too is like we need another place. I think Crossroads is good, but we also need another place, kind of like Flying Monkey, where people can just come in, like maybe have a bar and just come in and pay like $7 or $5 or whatever, and just see a comedy show. You know what I mean? Like we need a, and
Right.
I know, like we got the bars and stuff, but I think we need like a. Kind of like a theater or something,
Yeah.
like a actual stage,
I actually know of an empty venue in Huntsville. It's near the Flying Monkey. I have the number to call. It's available, but I still haven't called it.
It's in the hood.
Is the lease through the roof?
I like I said, I haven't called, but it is near Low Mill. It's actually on Triana and 9th is the street.
Okay.
And a guy went and looked at it with me one time. But it used to be a movie theater a long time ago. And it looks like they have a stage in there set up already in a room. I mean, even if we didn't rent it out as a full-time thing, but possibly do shows there.
Yeah.
I think,
That's the
would be a
thing. Like,
possibility.
do y'all think a comedy club would work here in Huntsville?
I think it
Yeah, that's
will.
what got me into comedy.
Really?
Is just wondering about that. And
Yeah.
You're testing the market.
What do you think, Jonathan? I mean, you know about real estate and all that kind
I
of
mean,
stuff.
I think it will.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, and I've said this in the comedy group that we have on Facebook. Our appeal, what percentage are we actually reaching? I know we're getting decent crowds at the Flying Monkey, and last night was a good crowd. We've had a few like that on Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights, right now in Huntsville is hard unless you have really nice drink specials and drunk chicks that douchebags can hit on. But I think there has to be a better marketing plan, and if there were a bigger name comedy club like a Zanies,
Like a chain.
Improv,
Improv.
a Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
Not that Huntsville is going to necessarily appeal to those places right off, but there is a market for comedy. I think Crossroads saw it last night. The light bulb finally dinged in their head, and they even threw some ideas at me, which I haven't mentioned to any of you yet. But that maybe they're willing to invest some stuff coming up
That'd be awesome.
towards the comedy scene.
Yeah.
And so I think if someone like that were willing to come in with a sound marketing strategy that they know works and has worked in other cities and let Huntsville know, even beyond what we have, the art community, pretty much at Low Mill, you could bring in bigger names on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leave Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday open for open mics or whatever, or regionally touring acts, whatever, and it could be successful. I think so. It would take a lot of work and, like I said, a good marketing plan. But, yeah.
But I think we definitely, at the baseline, I mean, we have an audience for comedy here.
A lot of dedicated
So,
followers.
Most definitely, man. Like
I
I
would say
said,
that, yeah.
like I said in the last podcast, I mean, there was a couple who sat beside me at the last Epic show, and they said we've been to every show at the Flying Monkey, every comedy show here, and the guy was saying like this is by far like the biggest crowds they get are the comedy shows, even like probably just as big as the concerts on the Dock, series and shit.
Well, not last week's concert on the Dock was insane, dude.
Really,
Kush.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it's because it was also the first.
first
first
one,
one,
the
yeah.
weather was nice,
Yeah.
the first chance for everybody to really get out.
get outside. Yeah.
And that's something I'm excited about too. Is when the weather gets nice, Huntsville comes out, and so comedy. Now that we're kind of building a reputation, I think, man, I'm telling you, this is a good time, man.
That's why we need to get in with like places like I think try like Humphreys again, get like their patio, outside, that kind of stuff. And I don't know,
I mean,
you're talking about Barrel House.
we talked
and stuff.
with Justin on the last podcast about how we did shows there at open mics, but it wasn't a dedicated open mic.
Yeah.
It was bands were there too. I think if we can get them behind us on doing just a comedy, even if it was just an open mic there, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
Barrel House, I'm still in negotiations with them. Probably hear something in another week or so. about a solid time frame, but I'm talking about maybe doing a weekly Saturday thing, and
Awesome.
Wow.
and maybe I don't want to do it in the evening. I want to do it midday. Why not? Downtown Huntsville midday
On a Saturday, especially.
rooftop patio.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will come out.
Yeah.
Plus, they have really good food there.
Yeah.
So come out, get a good meal, have a couple drinks, laugh, then go out and get ready and do whatever you're going to do that evening,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Exactly. I think that's a good strategy. Y'all got anything else to talk about? Or we,
I'm gonna go back to the
Yeah.
Huntsville supporting a full-time comedy venue.
yeah.
Shows like Epic Comedy Hour and Homegrown have been pretty successful at the Flying Monkey because one, they're really cheap. Two, they're BYOB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder if Huntsville could support, if people, in a conservative town like Huntsville would want to pay, $20, $25, once or twice a month to see a headliner, whereas, they have to pay $20, $25 to see the headliner, the money's going to go straight to, the featured act, and if they would want to pay, comedy club prices, for drinks.
Well, that's the thing. Like, VBC, they have comedy acts.
Yeah.
They had Bill Cosby.
Yeah, and they pretty much they sell out at every one.
Yeah.
I've thought about approaching them at some point to say, hey, we're a comedy scene. We do these open mics. You want us to help you sell tickets? We'll promote the show, give the comedians some free tickets. But then I realized they don't need our help. They sell their tickets out every time.
Ticketmaster.
So that wouldn't help. But I think, Huntsville, we would pull from the surrounding areas, some like Birmingham or in between here and Birmingham or Florence, kind of like we saw last night. People from those areas would come to Huntsville for that,
or even between here and Nashville or Chattanooga.
Yeah, or even say they missed somebody. Bill Burr came to Nashville and they missed him while he was in town, but he's in Huntsville 2 weeks from now. Hey, I'm off work the next day. Why don't I just drive down there? The tickets might actually be $5 or $10 cheaper. Who knows?
Yeah, fair enough.
Or even not. Even at the same price, you're getting to see someone who you're interested in seeing. Just like we go up to Nashville and stuff and see comedians. So I think it would work both ways.
Yeah, I agree. We would definitely. We just got to keep it going. Just got to keep,
I want to do a shameless plug of myself at this point.
Plug whatever. Man. That's what I was about to say.
Because we're really deep in this thing, and I know we're probably gonna wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
And if anybody's still listening, thank you. But I have a profile page on Reverb Nation, reverbnation.com/Jonathan Craig. Check it out. There's some of my free comedy clips that I've put on there. Each time you visit it, play my clips, it bumps me up on their charts. Right now I'm sitting at number 130 nationwide in the comedy charts, and I want to thank everybody who has done that so
moved
far.
up. From 200 or something.
It was
below 300.
366 is where I started, and now I'm at 130, and it hasn't even been a week. But
It's awesome.
So obviously you guys coming out and doing that, clicking it. Also tomorrow, I haven't gotten anything solid other than a release date. I haven't seen any snags, but tomorrow I'm supposed to be on iTunes. It's a lot of the same things that are on the Reverb Nation clips. You can go and download them on iTunes. Not that anybody would, but if you want to support local comedy in Huntsville, check it out. If it's not there tomorrow, keep checking for it in the upcoming days. But it should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also, thanks to Jonathan, we have comedy-mayhem.com, and there's also links to other, local comics, including myself.
Yeah. Let's go around and let's just plug. You go ahead, Brandon. You got your Twitter account, too. You're on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I'm Twitter at Ijames82, IJAMES82. I'm always welcoming new followers. Like I said, the Comedy Mayhem page. From there, there are links to my page. I can also be found on YouTube, and I hope to keep uploading new stuff. And keep everybody entertained.
Search for Brandon Ijames, he pops up. That's how I find my videos. I search for Brandon Ijames, and then click. Oh yeah, one of mine are uploaded on the same page. So.
Yeah. Guy, you got anything to plug?
No, not really. I guess my Twitter at Guy Frizzell. I know I've been kind of dead this episode. I apologize.
Yeah, I didn't even hear you burp.
Yeah.
No, I know. This is the.
No, he did burp once. I think.
Oh, just once?
Yeah.
Just once.
It might have been pregame. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I'm at _ Sam Ashby on Twitter. You can like Spontaneous Humor Combustion on Facebook. That's 3 words. What else? I think that's it. With the shows coming up, Friday, tomorrow night, Homegrown Comedy at 8 o'clock at Flying Monkey, which just won't be out before then,
No.
honestly.
So you
It'll probably
guys
be out
missed
Saturday.
it if
Yeah.
you weren't there. Hey,
Jonathan Baum.
yeah. But
I'm
that
gonna
one
do
joke.
the funniest hosting act ever, so
Yeah, you fuckers
I'm
missed
sorry
it.
if you missed it.
Yeah. Let's see. Homegrown Friday, and then Epic Comedy Hours, April 26th.
Yeah, in between that, you got the 17th at Crossroads
Yeah,
on
that's right.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sam will be on that show, and maybe Hannibal Burris. Email him at animalfurnace at gmail.com.
Yes.
And there's a story behind it. It was an April Fool's prank. I said, he's coming. He says, what are you talking about? No, I'm not. And then he said April Fool's in a separate message. So maybe he's coming.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just a weird April Fool's thing. Email him and ask him.
he might remember where he came from and might remember the little guys, but it wouldn't hurt you to email him.
That's right. Yeah.
Then we also have a show at Crossroads Thursday the 25th.
Is that the day before the Epic?
That's the day
Yeah.
before Epic. Yeah. And beyond that, the only other thing I have booked at this point is a show July 2nd in Louisville, Kentucky at the Comedy Caravan.
Yep.
It should be $10. That is a Tuesday night. Anybody who might be listening who has friends or family in Kentucky, or if you can make the trip, please come out and support us. We appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's badass.